All right. Hey, Jamie, Steve, how was your weekend?
Hey, thanks, Scott. It was a good weekend, and here we are, Monday, August 3rd, the first office hours of August. What's going on over there, Steve?
Not much, just enjoying a Monday.
Yes, our favorite day of the week, Monday. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Office Hours. Before we get rolling here, just want to breeze through the disclaimer here, make a little. If you do need investment advice, what to do, when to do it, all that good stuff, do yourself a favor, please seek out a registered investment advisor or some other licensed individual, somebody like a Series 7 stockbroker, an RIA, but bottom line, someone who's legally shopped around the web for trading rooms to hang out in and get good ideas from. You've probably noticed that most of them are not free, okay, and the ones that are worth their salt aren't exactly cheap. Well, our cost is $0.00. You don't even have to be a TI subscriber to get in there and experience the trading room. So Barry does an excellent job at showcasing his trading style, his technique, and the way that he uses the software. He also likes to answer questions about the software, so it's a great place to hang out and learn, not only about trading in general, but you can learn about the software in there as well. So if you haven't been taking advantage of that resource, by all means, get in there and do so. Of course, you get myself and Steve on Mondays for office hours. Steve's going to take the helm tomorrow and every Tuesday for the trade of the week. I'll go with him. Wednesday rolls around, we like to change it up just a little bit and bring in our CEO. And now on Thursdays, Andy's going to round out the Friday, starting at 12 p.m. Eastern, going until 1 p.m. Eastern. And the next slide here, you'll see where you can, anything TI related is on the table. Giving you an opportunity to get your questions answered by one of the trainers/traders in real time every Monday through Friday. And I recently updated and setting all kinds of records around here at TI and people using Brokerage Plus, which is the next slide here. Brokerage Plus, what's it all about? Well, that is our interface that lets you trade. Use our interface to trade if you have an account at Interactive Brokers. Of course, you can paper trade using Brokerage Plus, connection at all. One of the recent improvements that we've made in our paper trading mode. So no more need to sign up for a broker dealer, fund an account, pay them for data. You can do all of that through Brokerage Plus now. Obviously, when you want to move on to live, yeah, you got to get that live account and IB, pay for your data, all that good stuff. But we've removed one of the bigger hurdles in helping people train for real trading and getting into paper trading. You can do it all in-house now. As the orange bars indicate here, demo orders that are being filled through Brokerage Plus continue to accelerate, as well as live orders in blue here continue to accelerate, and we just expect that to keep going up, and up. Seeing record numbers of transactions in both live orders and demo orders filled, which is great feedback to us because it lets us know not continue to use it not only in demo trading, but also in live trading as well. So good stuff going on with Brokerage Plus. We expect, all right, and here we are. But what I'm seeing, got some big cap stocks making some all-time highs and setting up nicely, but we've also got a lot of low dollar stocks seem to be running here lately. IWM was up nicely today. So Steve, I guess it's a good time to kick it over to you, and let's take a look at some of those major tracking ETFs, and then we'll get on with the rest of the show here.
All right.
All right, there you go.
I'd like to start with the S&P 500, and S&Ps have almost made it back, and the way this market is going to go, and again, in clean air here, above all three moving averages. None of them got crossed. Doesn't really matter. That's not really a major indicator. Tuesday we had the mother of all tech earnings to kind of sell it off, but this has been helping people. NASDAQ with all the more financial, so it's lagging keen in the queue towards the end of the day. Clean air trillions. There's really no other place to put them. This is the breakout, not tomorrow when we get another, but other you're just waiting for, we're only concerned with price action and the price market.
Out. How can I solve my paper trade? The parallels or Amazon. Dive into the Holly recap here. So for my looking only at stocks with a market, big blocks done on the opening 5, 10. Now today, after the first 15 minutes, we saw a bullish bias, 56, 57, 58, a lot more validity. And if we take a peek here at what the SPY did after the market did stay nice and green, Windows doing a decent job at tempering my expectations for here versus what we see in moderate profit. Now we've got fit is moderate, ignores all the other risk-based on stop loss. Of course, you do have the option to go between conservative claims. The original entry line in was make the cut today, but then I see a wick get close to a pretty good spread between just settling for conservative profit. If you're in 100 shares of the Holly on the end of Holly right here, watching the AI make exits and you're thinking to yourself, I mean, Iridium, the getting out at the bottom of that wick right there, right about the spread there lower if you were short. So keep that in mind. So here we have Brokerage Plus up. Now, yeah.
That for Mike and probably anybody else who was thinking.
Trades, and I say edit where you can pick stuff, okay, and people using any risk parameters, right? It's just showing you what happens to the positions if you engage in no risk management, and it's just going to show you how that position fares until the close. So the shorter answer is, just like Steve was pointing out, not only can you, if you do want to kind of emulate aggressive mode, you can deactivate the time stops as well as cancel the stops. Now, of course, that's what we would call double black diamond difficulty, because when you don't have any stops and you don't have any timed holds, well, it's all on your plate. And if you forget about something, something could really get away from you fast. So if you choose to go down that path, just be very attentive, obviously. In other words, probably want to be in the chair while you're going in that type of mode. Okay, so David had a question too, talking about what dictates aggressive or moderate aggressive settings. Well, we can set it up right here according to our preferences. I like to run in moderate mode. That's just my personal preference. But I think your question, David, was probably centered around this level right here, best of conservative, or this option, best of conservative or moderate. And that's all going to be dependent on what mode the AI is currently operating in over here on the channel bar. So if we picked best of and Holly 2.0 kicked out a signal and she was currently in conservative mode, that's how your order would go out. If she was in moderate mode, that's how your order would go out when we're using the best of mode. Okay, so let me know if I need to backtrack there, but I think that got it. All right, so let me get my little cheat sheet out here. My brain's all over the place today. I think we were about to talk about the only trade around that presented itself today. And when I say trade around, it's when you see the AI get stopped out of something or make an exit, as I was referring to earlier. You might not be in the position, right? But you see the AI making an exit and you're like, hey, that chart looks good. Or GFL in this case. Let's go ahead and take a peek at it. GFL. Okay. So interesting case on GFL today, because technically, if you notice these other guys right here, like Tyson, okay. Notice we got the buy signal. It went up for a little bit. It came back down, and then Holly closed it out in a profit save, okay. But then it came down here and smashed through the stop areas, okay? And we'll see that the P&L was frozen, not only on that one, but EVSI, even though it got plugged out on a profit save, it came down here and smashed its stop levels. So we get a frozen level right there. GFL, not the case, okay? Now, I'm just gonna go back to Tyson real quick. Notice how far through the stop area we got on Tyson. Notice how far we were kind of hanging tight around that stop area right there. Get my pointer out. But then we smashed through that stop area pretty good, right? Now on GFL, we did not. We just barely came down here and tickled that stop area in the same 15-minute candle. We wicked back up, and then we had this candle heading higher, okay, nice and far away from the wick. When I see something like this, my eyebrows perk up, because I'm thinking to myself, well, we just came down here, we barely touched the stop area, and we got that wick in there, and now we're starting to green up again in the following 15-minute candle. So this is what I find attractive when I see stocks doing this. A wick down, which tells us that the sellers tried to take control, but they really couldn't quite maintain it. And then we get a following green candle here. So even if we waited till the end of this 15-minute candle to indeed ensure that it closed green, we got a nice wick in the prior one, just pinned it right down to the exact stop area. I got a lot of confidence when I see this, okay? Now sometimes, just like in Tyson, or it wasn't Tyson, but they'll hold the line here, in which case, before we saw this candle, we might have been thinking to ourselves, okay, the stop area appears to be acting as a nice pivot area here. So we could have taken a stab and used the lower ends of these candles as an exit, and we would have gotten stopped out, but the risk would have been super tight and super low, all right? No harm, no foul. Now in GFL, we see the wick come in, we see the green candle. So even if we waited for this candle to close and we went ahead and took a stab at it, say somewhere right here, just to kind of pick a random spot, we would have got a much better price than the AI up here. And we could have made some good money on this one just in hopes that it got back to the original signal line, which it did, wick through and then closed out. So not a whole lot of money to be made there, but sometimes these little hour periods are a lot longer. I mean, if we would have gotten 21.66 there, 21.83, not quite even 20 cents on that trade, but it's the pattern that's important here, okay? This one only presented 20 cents, but a lot of the times they're going to produce a lot more than that on a percentage basis specifically. But this is a pretty good trade around pattern right here. A nice wick down to the stop, followed up by a green candle, and then slowly reclaiming that 10 period there. Just not a whole lot of room there. So that's classic example of a trade around. All right, stop price given each exact moment. And yes, Stephen, the stop areas are always going to be clearly demonstrated here on the chart. Notice that when we click through any Holly trade, we've got all the metrics displayed here. Entry price, stop area is going to be notated on the chart as well. Now, if you're curious about what the stops are for each and every strategy, and the stop for each and every stock that might come through that strategy, we've got time stops right here, and we've got the stop loss reason over here. Smart stop, VWAP, 4%, so forth and so on. And all of these values you'll see mapped right out on the chart there. All right, little time check. Okay, we're moving along nicely here. So all in all, kind of just a slow, nice and profitable day from Holly. And let's see the profit modes here. If we were holding everything in aggressive mode, risking $100, we're looking at 253. Conservative mode, just slightly better, and moderate, performing the worst today at $189 based on risking $100 per trade on a total of 9 shares, and 1.0 remaining quiet for the day. So we'll see if she comes back to life tomorrow. And that's about it for Holly today. What I'd like to talk about next are some opening range breaks, one of my favorite patterns. Not too long ago, I took 2 of my bread and butter high-low tickers that I like to watch for these patterns and modified them slightly. I'll make sure that I drop the cloud links in before we're done today. But these little guys produced an extraordinary amount of nice, clean setups today. And before we progress and take a look at those, I just wanted to point out the windows that we're going to be looking at today. My turbo breaks up and down are 2 of my favorite momentum windows. Now, before we talk about this, check out the IWM. Check out all the major tracking ETFs that I'm watching here. Qs were up 1.4, SPY was up 0.7%, Dow up 0.9. But look at IWM, up 1.6% today as we attempt to potentially, encroach up to this level here. Just looking at this level over the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 days or so. Looks like the small caps might be ready to heat up, and that's exactly what I was seeing coming through these windows today. Now, real quick here, it's not like I'm throttling price, I don't believe here, by that much, because I've got no 100. The key metric here that I've changed is I'm just saying, hey, if relative volume is at least 5 and the stock's already kicked out 100,000 shares today, then hey, let's take a look at it. I'm not necessarily saying just low caps with this maximum price of 200, but that was sure what was coming through here. More prevalent today are the lower price stocks, things 20 and under seem to be dominating these windows today. And of course, we are in earnings. So I think we've got earnings coupled with some of the small caps getting a little bit more traction is what is fueling these tickers as of late. But let's just take a look at number one, the pattern, and then the stocks coming through here today. So what we're going to be taking a look at are opening range breaks, which are some of the more simple patterns to stalk on an intraday basis here. And the first one would be this guy right here, peak, so we can see the arrow. All right. Notice BBI right here. This is the candle, the 15-minute candle, where this stock hit a high. Now, that's what I'm using is a new high based on the premise that if we take the opening range here, this was the opening candle. We're going to mark off the low right there. Then the high was put in. Then over this 15-minute period, or excuse me, 45 to an hour period right here, we go range bound, trading in between the high and the low, but not too crazy. It's not all stretched out. It's nice and tight, okay? So a little consolidation period right here, and then right here, about hour and a half into the market, we get a nice little clean range break. So not too much energy expenditure in this level right here. We get the signal right here about $4, $4.02 to be exact. Our risk level would be the prior 15-minute candle, not including the entry candle. All right, so risk is right here. Break happens immediately after that break occurs. We get a nice 1, 2, 3, 4 hour-long run, topping out right up here at about $5.50, which is a really nice percentage move on little PBI today. Now, check it out. Let's see. Well, nope, earnings are behind us. Okay, July 30th. So this was just a nice, clean run. We can see what it did here today on the daily, but a very nice mover. And also check out the relative volume here. Okay, oops, kind of mashed that up there, but 31. Can't tell if that's a comma. Yep, 31.10. So this thing kicking out almost 31 times the amount of shares that it normally does. It's only kicking out about 2 million. So it's a little overblown, but still 2.18 million on your average 3-month, and this little guy kicked out 43 million. That's what we want to see when we're looking for volume. So very nice, clean break. We had moderate to low risk, and we had a great follow through on PBI on that one. All right, William's asking about how do you get rid of one of these lines here? Okay, so let's take this one for example. Once I hover over it, I get that little crosshair, and I just click on it, I hit delete. Boom, that line goes away. Click up here, hit delete. So William, I think that's what you were asking about. Okay, so moving right along there, that was PBI. Now let's take a look at the next one, which I think everybody will probably recognize this symbol. It's been all over the place, been all over, having some big days, one of the big movers. This one occurred about 45 minutes into the open here. Here we go with the first opening 30 minutes and the high and the low being put in. About 45, well, not quite 45 minutes in, but you see where the break occurred right here. Right at the $2.94 level. And once again, low risk, using the low or the bar, previous bar, not including the entry candle here. And this one had a nice little run as well from just below 3 right up to the $4 level. So another another crazy up move, very nice percentage on a low dollar stock in the form of Riot. And you know, picture speaks 1,000 words. This one not doing as much volume as PBI, but hey, I'll take 8.5 each and every day. That's good enough for me. Usually kicking out 7.4 million shares and coming in at 58 million, good one we had in Riot. Next, talk about small caps. Glad Sean's not watching this because he'd probably might puke on himself. and I say that in jest, of course. 56 cents and it's got a candle down here at 52 cents. Never got encroached upon. So we get the signal right here about 55, 56 cents, and a nice move on the intraday up to 73 cents. So once again, a very nice percentage gain, and earnings not till the 19th, as we can see down here, and this one creeping higher in post-market as well. So, you know, once again, the small caps seem to be ruling the intraday and potential swing trade, you know, on this one as well. We'd have to take a peek over here. Short-term resistance being smashed through right here, and we got the close up here. We got the move higher in the post-market. Little NXTI might want to try to encroach on some of this candle tomorrow. We'll just have to see what happens. But even being a 50-something cent stock, nice and liquid today, kicking out 35 million shares when it only kicks out about 3 million on an average basis here. And don't worry, everybody, I'm going to drop these windows. I'm going to drop the cloud links into the chat area here as soon as we're done going over these. So don't worry, I'll make sure I drop them in there. So NXTD, the sub $1 wonder today. Next on the list, MARA. This one expending a little bit more energy than I like to see, but if we're playing by the rules, we have to include this opening wick here, which, give me my candle back, give me my line back there, there we go. Okay, which was technically $3.66. That break didn't occur till about right here at 369. Not near as big of a move, but we could probably fit this risk area probably a little over 2 times in here. So we're looking at this break right about the 369 level and trading up to 479. So still more than a point in there on a $3.69 stock. So once again, nothing to sneeze at there. And once again, not even encroaching on that stop area, which in this case would have been the bottom of this candle right here, just a little off the mark there. A little sideways action as it figures out what it wants to do, but certainly not getting back down to that area that we would have used as a stop. So another very nice percentage gain, all in a stock that was doing massive volume today, finishing at 2605, usually kicking out 9 million, but kicking out about 223 million today. All right, and we'll save the biggest for last here. And that came, oh, I want to say the biggest. I could be wrong from a percentage basis, but this little guy right here did not disappoint. Okay, JMIA. After the first 30 minutes, we can get a little bit more detail. Let's just go to the 5-minute here. Well, come on, mouse wheel, you can do it. Okay, just wanted to start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 30 minutes we got right here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, you could level a house off of that action right there. JMIA. Nice, clean little range break happening right here. Bottom of the 15-minute period is what I've marked off here. So we just have to count up 3 of the 5-minute candles, which stop loss would have been down here. And once again, once this break occurred, it was just off to the races. Not really a whole lot to worry about. So that buy signal coming right there at 15.92, and by the close, we were up here at $20.89. Earnings on this little guy still aren't to the 12th, and it's heading higher in post-market as well. But ignoring post-market, you know, and having that move from 15, let's just call it 16, we'll round up, and topping out at almost 21. Once again, another just crazy percentage move there to the tune of about 5 points on a $16 stock, all right? And what do these things all have in common? Massive volume, all right? August 12th, earnings aren't up till August 12th, so we know that that wasn't the catalyst for today. So just some really beautiful, simple patterns, simple and effective patterns with low risk that we're all just delivering some massive percentage returns today. So, you know, there's something going on with the IWM. You know, it's tried to rally before, still well below its all-time high, but I'm letting the tickers tell me where to go. you know, bear with the common theme here as all I want to see are the ones that are doing the volume. Let the pattern be secondary, because all we have to do is play the hunt and peck game. Sometimes the timing's going to be there, sometimes it's not. But if we catch things at the right moment, we don't have to worry about the volume being there. It's already there, and it's there in a big way. So that's about all the ones to the upside. And I was watching the downside today too, but it seemed like every time I saw one coming through this ticker today, well, if I can get my pointer back there, it was a bounce area. There was one worth mentioning today, and it was this DTSS, okay? I think I marked this one up in 15 minutes. Let me get back over there. All right, and this one was just, when you see this type of, well, I don't want to call it a sell program as much as it is a sell pattern. You know, we had the downside, so we know the seller's there. Then we got about 30, 45 minutes of sideways action here, just enough to level it off. So this is the area of interest right here, okay? It did break here, so it would have been a decent short, not just going down immediately. We had about 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know, about an hour and a half of sideways motion there, hugging around what would have been the entry line right here at 395, okay? But, you know, if we're using the prior candle right here, get my pointer back, high of this prior 5-minute candle right here as our stop loss, we never really had to worry about getting stopped out at that level right there. Now we did have to sit it out. Reminds me of some of the Holly trades that she puts on. They go sideways for a while. That's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, matter of fact, this looks like a time where Holly would go, hey, I'm going to reduce my risk or profit save and get out. And that's when it would turn into an interesting event, because look what happens just in a little bit of time here. It sets up again. So if we took the trade right here, we're in the money, or you know, hemming and hawing right around the entry line. The seller comes back out eventually. Okay, buyers and sellers become equal. Seller has to come back in, get some stock sold. So while this doesn't look like a huge move, you know, here we are at the original entry of 394, and by the close we were down here below 3, almost to 294. So once again, a pretty high percentage gain from 394 down to 294. Okay, it just doesn't look tremendous, or it doesn't look as exciting as the ones to the upside, but that's still a 30 odd percent potential move there in a small dollar stock. Okay, and that was really the only one worth notating to the downside today, but it did perform. All right, doing a little time check here. We are getting close. So before I forget here, let me go ahead and drop these cloud links in here, make sure I got these on real time. And there are a couple of other stocks I'm going to point out that you may want to keep your eye on moving forward. And this is just going to be called New T High. And then I will give you the downside, because, hey, you never know. Maybe we have downside tomorrow. There will be a time when this window becomes very productive. Okay, so we got both of those dropped in. Now, one thing I would like to point out that I haven't been seeing very often, and of course, where we are in the market, it's no big surprise. I'm starting to see my Turbo Up family no resistance come back to life. It's in the same vein as these types of tickers, using a little bit different volume metrics, but this is pointing out stocks that are doing crazy things on the intraday. As we can see here, a nice up move in CWST today and moving up in the post market. But check out what's happening over here, okay? You know, we're wound all the way back as far as daily goes. So, you know, this nice little area right here that had been put in on CWST, today is the first day that it's breaking out, and when are earnings coming up, okay? Earnings were today after the close. Now, we're getting some action in the post market, but we never know what's gonna, you know, what it's gonna look like coming back around till tomorrow. So a couple of scenarios here in CWST. Might pull back to this level. It'll be interesting to see if it can hold this level, which might not be a bad entry, or it might continue tomorrow. And it might, you know, might be a good entry on the upside tomorrow, but that would all be dictated on what we see unfolding on the intraday. If it sets up nicely again, we can take some low risk on an entry based on what we see on the intraday. Well, then who knows? This might be the beginning of a 1, 2, 3, or 4 or more day run for CWST. My crystal ball's broken right now, so I can't really tell you. All I can tell you is that this is the first day out of this area right here. It's behaved pretty well getting up to that point. So CWST is definitely one that I would keep my eyes on moving forward. In the same vein, the old stalwart, Microsoft, okay? Now, a little bit more energy expenditure with a gap up. Earnings are already well behind Microsoft. Those were July 22nd. So we don't have to worry about earnings coming into play. But if it holds this level, hey, Microsoft technically just broke out today. So if it gives you a nice cozy entry on the intraday tomorrow, who knows? Microsoft may be starting its run as well. The other scenario is that it pulls back to this line and kind of goes sideways for a while. But definitely that one, Microsoft and CWST, you might want to put those on your radar moving forward. And let's see here, a couple other ones. Oh yeah, one that has to still report earnings, but is looking very similar is Square. Just poking its head above all-time highs, looking pretty good over the past couple of days, maintaining that 10 period and those nice little wicks on the prior candles. But keep in mind, day after tomorrow is when Square reports earnings, but the chart's looking pretty good thus far. Other than that, I would say maybe one more. Let's see, T-Rex just reported earnings today, and we can see it took a little run up in the post market and is kind of now back down to this level right here, slightly below where it closed on the day. But, you know, it broke out of this little area right here, heading higher. Might be one to keep an eye on. You know, maybe it takes a little pullback, maybe it keeps going. But once again, to answer that question, if it sets up nicely on the intraday and you can make a low risk entry to see what happens, well, then that's what I would do. So T-Rex, Microsoft, Square, CWST, all stocks to keep an eye on moving forward. Not saying just jump on in there, let the setups occur, let the low risk occur, and if you can make a low risk entry and the market is conducive, you know, and we don't have a big red day tomorrow, those are 4 to keep your eyes on. All righty. Lastly here, Waleed was asking a question. Can you show us the config of new T high? Sure. Before I bring Scott in here. The big difference between this and my traditional turbo breaks is I got rid of the 1 minute volume metric and the traditional volume metrics and just said relative volume of 5, and it had to have traded 100,000 shares today, okay? Of course, once you load up those cloud links and you right click and hit configure, you'll be able to go in there and check it out. And we have a request also for the turbo breaks up, no resistance. So yes, I will drop that into the chat as well. And Scott, if you're ready to walk us out, let everybody know how they can save a little bit of dough on a new sub or an upgrade. We're ready for you.
All right, sounds great. Yeah, a couple things just to talk about on the way out. There's an ebook. It's all about earnings season and how to take advantage of it. It's free. Just go ahead to that URL you see on your screen, trade-ideas.com/earnings, and put in your email address to get the download. We've also got a podcast. We've had some great interview episodes up this year. We're going to be introducing some more. So just search for Trade Ideas Podcasts wherever you listen to your pods and add us as a subscription, and then you'll be ready to pick up the next one as soon as it goes live. Still using the code SUMMERTIME. It saves 15% off your first month or year of Trade Ideas or upgrade from standard to premium. So go ahead and make use of that if you decide you want to do an upgrade or start out with the new subscription. Jamie is on Twitter at QuantBot. Steve Gomez is at Today Trader. Trade Ideas Pro is the Facebook handle to like and share everything we post with your friends. And then info@trade-ideas.com is the best place to send any of your questions. It goes into our help desk software and gets you the support you need. All right, thanks, Steve. Thanks, Jamie. Thanks, all. Have a good one.
Hey, thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of the week, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.